Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'd love to see him.
It's almost like legacy of like the NFL versus.
But I definitely think that Baker could be a really good player for the Panthers moving forward.
Did I say Oreos?
There's a lot of questions I have about Mahomes. Looks like a kid playing Madden.
Turning point in the game is the 13-second drive.
They play very hard, even though they're terrible.
He's a good pick. You for sure. He's going to be a good player. But I can't argue against the Jamar Chase pick.
They made moves saying we're going to win this year, at least get into the playoffs.
I'm going with my guy, Corey Seager. So glad.
What's good, y'all? My name is Austin Jarman, and I play rugby for the University of Notre Dame. And you're listening to the Outsider's Opinion with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our USFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin. We're going to talk about the week, and I'm joined by the man with the surfboard to roll the tide, Austin.
The Breakers are 1-0. I love to see it. It is definitely different than the XFL. And I don't know why, if that's because the XFL just returned this year, while the USFL we obviously watched last year, or the fact that it's starting later, or what it is, but it definitely feels a little bit different.
Yeah, it just kind of popped up on me. I know there were commercials, but I just got absorbed into the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs, so I missed it. But I saw a game, and I was like, well, I gotta watch this game instead. But I'm curious on if my Pittsburgh Maulers got to win or no.
They played against New Orleans, so New Orleans is 1-0.
Okay, so we didn't get a win.
No, it's 22-15.
well,
Michigan also won.
closer.
Yeah, they only lost by 7. Michigan ended up beating Houston 29-13. Birmingham beat New Jersey 27-10, and Philadelphia beat Memphis 27-23. So Memphis, they start there's a new team here, or they moved, so they start out 0-1. Do you think that's kind of because they're a new team, or just because they're going against a great team in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think it could be a mix of both. I know they probably have same players, but they're still getting used to stuff. And but yeah, Philadelphia. Hopefully, Memphis plays better, just because they are relocating, and winning always helps attract fans. So it's something that I'm looking forward to watching once things die down. There just aren't so many playoff games available as the series die down, and I think that will help them. There's also the XFL happening right now, so I'm curious on the viewership because the XFL is at the end of their season and the USFL is at the beginning. So I'm very intrigued with that, and I can't. What do you think's the biggest difference between XFL and USFL right now?
I would say viewership's a big part, and I think that's because the teams are known in their area now. Like New Orleans knows, like, hey, that's our team, or Michigan. I do think probably the team or the game with the least amount of viewership is Philadelphia against Memphis, because there's probably a lot of people in Memphis that didn't know they had a team, and that's because the team had just moved there after one season elsewhere. I believe they were the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Okay. So I feel like, as well, maybe people were checking into the USFL because they know, hey, Kevontae Turpin played in this league, or they know some other players that played for their team that played in this league, unlike the XFL, which doesn't really have that because of the shortened season that it had in its first year, and now it's starting to come back.
Yeah, I'm very interested because now they're expanding hubs. With the XFL, you have different stadiums already. The USFL, they are slowly building out different stadiums.
I think that's fine, because you gotta know that you're going to be able to stay there. But that's when I really think we'll know, hey, which one is here to stay truly.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I don't think we'll know till 5 more years from now, but it is a key. This is a key year for the USFL. As I remember talking about when last time we did the USFL videos. It's a key year because they want to build off that success. It was a good year, but it should get better as they try to promote spring football. And I think there's a market for it, but it's just tough when other people are looking at playoffs. But I'm sure there are football people that only watch football, and this is a perfect thing for them.
Let me ask you this, because they do playoffs differently. The XFL does playoffs differently than the USFL. XFL does division playoffs where the 1 and 2 in each division play each other, and then they meet in a final. The USFL does it where the 2 in one division plays the 1 in the other division, and vice versa. Which one do you like more?
I like. Ooh, maybe I was about to say the USFL, but I might like the XFL because there might be a little bit more drama if they're facing a division.
Well,
Um,
wouldn't there be even more drama if they're facing in the final between a division?
in the final between divisions.
Because that's how the USFL works: is that the 2 could beat the 1 in the other division, and the 1 in your division could beat the 2 in their division, and then it's a 1 versus 2 in the same division in the final.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like it. I want to see a little bit different in the first round. Like, okay, what does this team look like? So yeah, that's a fair point. Um, but yeah, I'm still gonna stick with XFL because at the start, you guaranteed you get in a division matchup.
Yeah, I'm fine either way. I kind of like that both of them are different because we get to see both sides of a coin, but it's different from the NFL because there's so many fewer teams. So there's less matchups to see outside, but there is more. Like if there's 10 games, you play each team uh, outside your division once, so that's 4 teams, and then you play every team in your own division twice. So that's kind of why I would go USFL because you already played every team in your division twice. You played every team in the other division just once, so that's 4 and then 6 in your division. So I feel like maybe if you playing the third time in the semifinal, maybe isn't the best way to go about it, but maybe it is because you played that team already.
Yeah, I think I do agree. It's good that they're both different. It's not the same. And you could even have people from the XFL shift to the USFL. It's something I'm very curious on. But will they coexist is something we'll have to look at in the future.
Do you think
But
it's? Let me ask you another question. Do you think it's smart to have a little bit of overlap where week 1 is week 10 in the XFL or week 9, I should say?
yeah, maybe. But I would try to see if you can get it right off the end. But maybe because then your first season's starting up and guys could just shift. Um, so yeah, I think it's definitely better than starting at the same time.
But do you think it's? I would argue it'd probably be better if there was a little bit of a layoff, or maybe just the week 1 ends, the other one starts.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with you there too. Like I maybe give a week layoff if you can, um, but maybe that gets too late and players just get start picked up from training camp during your season, uh, which could be harmful to the team because
Yeah,
it seems like the USFL is promoting you can come here and then go to the NFL, like Cavante Turbo.
that's the only really way you could get talented players to come play. And I do think it'd be very interesting if we start seeing college players try to boost their draft. I don't know if they'd be allowed to do that. Do you think they'd be allowed to boost their draft odds if going to the
Probably not.
XFL?
Probably, probably not.
Would they be
Um,
eligible even for the draft after that? I don't know. I think that those are questions that some people would have to ask because, like, if maybe I go to the XFL because it ends right before the draft, and then I could go to the draft and maybe I'll increase my stock because I just destroyed in the XFL, threw for 50 touchdowns or something like that in 10 games, or maybe not 50, but you kind of get the gist. And
yeah, I get. There is also that you could get hurt.
that's
No
true, but I mean, you can get hurt outside. I mean, we've heard the sad story about the Lafayette wide receiver. Have you?
I'm not familiar with that. Maybe.
He got hit by a car and he got hit by a drunk driver and is going to be out for
Oh,
the entirety of the 2023 season. So people
wow,
were wondering whether or not his draft stats is going to go down. He was projected to be third, fourth, or fifth round. Now he's going to be out for the whole year. He probably doesn't get drafted.
wow. Yeah. I do think one key thing with the USFL and XFL is how do they promote guys from within? How do they keep guys to stay in the USFL? Because you can have stars in the USFL that leave, but you need that foundation of guys.
Yeah, or you could kind of use it as a springboard into the NFL and kind of try to hold on to some of the names. Be like, hey, that's our guy. He's playing in the Pro Bowl. Devontae Turpin. That's our guy. He played for us. You could be the same. So come play here. Come watch the future of the NFL.
Oh, that is
Like,
good. It's good branding.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it. Not try to keep players that are really, really good and tie them down away from NFL organizations, because then no one's going to want to play there.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I'm very intrigued in how this goes, and I think it's a solid start right now for the USFL in Week 1.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all we got. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions. Make sure to check out our socials, and thank you again. And make sure to check out our next video.